Myself, Mr. Mate HT, Department of Botany, RBNB College, Sri Rampur. Today, we are going to study the T.Y.B.Sc Botany, paper first, BO 331, that is the cryptogamic botany. And from this paper, the topic number 3, that is the life cycle of the Sargarsum. This is the second lecture of the life cycle of Sargarsum. In previous lecture, we had studied the classification and external and internal morphology of the Sargarsum. So today we are going to study the reproduction in Sargarsum. So reproduction. Now Sargarsum reproduces only by the two different types of the method, that is the vegetative and sexual only. Here in Sargarsum, asexual reproduction is completely absent. So number one, that is the vegetative reproduction. And it takes place with the help of a fragmentation. In Sargarsum, the vegetative reproduction takes place with the help of a fragmentation. By any accident or because of the tidal movement in the sea water, the thallus breaks into a number of fragments, and each fragment finally develops into a new thallus of the Sargarsum. This is the vegetative reproduction found in, for example, in Sargarsum natans. Because in this Sargarsum natans, there are no reproductive structures. So here in this Sargarsum natans, the reproduction is only with the help of vegetative, that is with the help of fragmentation type of reproduction. Now second type, that is the sexual reproduction. It is oogamous type. In Sargarsum, the type of sexual reproduction is oogamous because the oogonia are dominant in the life cycle of the Sargarsum. Now, these oogonia are reproductive structures. Here, male reproductive structure is called as the antheridia, and female reproductive structure is called as the oogonia. And both these reproductive structures are developed in a reproductive structure which is called as the receptacle. These receptacles, they are profusely branched, and at the tip of this receptacle, there are another different types of the reproductive structures. They are called as the conceptacles. Receptacles are developed on the thallus, and in this receptacle, there are the conceptacle. And again, on the basis of a development, there are antheridia and oogonia. There are the two different types of the conceptacles, that is male conceptacle and female conceptacle. In male conceptacle, only the antheridia are developed, while in female conceptacle, only the oogonia are developed. And again, these plants are monoecious and dioecious. That means when both the conceptacle, that is the male conceptacle and female conceptacle, when they are developed on one plant, then that type of a species is called as the monoecious species. And when these male conceptacle and female conceptacles are developed on two different plants, then that species are called as the dioecious. So we have to study number one, that is the male conceptacle, structure of the male conceptacle, in which antheridia are developed. So this is the wall of the male conceptacle. It is fertile in nature. It is meristematic in nature. It has an opening called as the ostiole. This is the meristoderm, which is also meristematic in nature. So this is the meristoderm. Here there is the cortex, and at the center, that means here there is the thick walled cells formed by the medulla, which is conductive in function. These are the periphyses. So this is the structure of the male conceptacle in which the antheridia are get developed. It is developed in the receptacle. So the internal structure of the receptacle is also like the stem. That means it also has the outer boundary, outer layer called as the merisstoderm. And inside this there is the multi-layered cortex is there, and at the center compactly arranged thick walled medulla is there. And in the cortex there is a flask-shaped structure which is called as the conceptacle. It has an opening toward the outside. It's called as the ostiole. Just inside the ostiole there are some hair-like structures, filament-like structures. They are called as the periphyses. Now, the male conceptacle has its own wall. It is fertile in nature, it is meristematic in nature. And at the base, it develops again some branched structures. These branched structures are called as the paraphyses. And each tip of this branched paraphysis structure is getting developed into a club-shaped antheridium. So, this is the structure of the male conceptacle in which there is the ostiole, periphyses are there. It has its own wall which is fertile in nature, antheridia are there and paraphyses are there. So, the next point, that is the structure of the antheridium. So this is antheridium. It has a single diploid nucleus which is at the center. It has two wall layers, outer exocyte and inner endocyte. It has shorter stalk. So this is the structure of the antheridium. Now it has a shorter stalk, and above this there is the club-shaped antheridium. And each antheridium has two wall layers. The outer is called as the exocyte, and while inner is called as the endocyte, and they are gelatinous in nature. And at the center there is a single diploid nucleus. So initially antheridium has a single diploid nucleus. Now in the development of the anthrozoid, this single diploid nucleus divides meiotically into 4 haploid nuclei. So here there is the reduction division, and these are the 4 haploid nuclei. Now these 4 haploid nuclei again divides mitotically to form about 64 haploid nuclei. So these are the 64 haploid nuclei are getting developed with the help of meiosis and then mitosis. Now each single haploid nuclei with some amount of the cytoplasm is get metamorphosed into a special kind of a structure, and that structure is called as the anthrozoid. It is a kidney shaped or pear shaped. It has a laterally inserted 2 flagella. The anterior flagella is the tinsel type of a flagella, and posteriorly inward is called as the whiplash type of a flagella. They are heterocont, that means one is long and another is small. and inside this there is the blepharoplast granule, and at the center there is a single haploid nucleus. So this is the structure of the antheridium, sorry, this is the structure of the anthrozoid, and this is the structure of the antheridium. Now such type of very large number of, that means about 64 anthrozoids are get developed in the antheridium. They gelatinizes the wall of the antheridium and comes out through the ostiole and freely swims in the water with the help of these two flagella. So the next point, that is the female conceptacle. Now this is the wall of the female conceptacle, which is also fertile and meristematic in nature. It also has an opening called as the ostiole. It opens toward the outside of the receptacle. This is the meristoderm. Here there is the cortex, and at the center compactly thick-walled cells form the medulla. So this is the structure of the female conceptacle in which the oogonia are get developed. The internally, the structure of this female conceptacle or receptacle is just like the internal structure of the main axis of the thallus, that is the stem of the thallus. Now it also has the outermost layer called as the meristoderm. Inside this there is a multi-layered cortex is there, and at the center compactly arranged cells, they form the medulla. Now this is the conceptacle. It is a flask shaped and it is developed in the cortical region. Now externally it has an opening. That opening is called as the ostiole. So this is the ostiole. Just inside the ostiole there are some hair-like structures. They are called as the periphysis. And this female conceptacle also has its own meristematic wall. It is fertile in nature, and at the base it again develops some circular structures. Some branched structures also, they are called as the paraphysis, and these circular structures are called as the oogonia. Now at the time of fertilization, when this oogonia becomes mature, the outermost layer, which is called as the exocyte, inner layer is called as the mesocyte, and inner layer is called as the endocyte. Here what happens, the middle layer absorbs very large amount of the water, and because of this, the size of the oogonia is get increased. And because of this pressure which is exerted on the outer layer, it is get ruptured, and mesocyte forms a stalk, and with the help of this stalk, this oogonia comes out of the ostiole. Now structure of the oogonia. Now this is the structure of the oogonia, in which there are the three layers. The outermost layer is called as the exocyte, it is a thin. Inner layer is a thick, it is called as the mesocyte, while the inner layer is again thin and it is called as the endocyte. And in this structure there is the egg is there. So this is about the structure of the oogonia. Now the next point, that is the fertilization. Now what happens during fertilization? Very large number of the anthrozoids, they freely swims in the water with the help of flagella. By chance they comes in contact with this oogonia. But finally only one anthrozoid penetrates the wall of the oogonia and enters inside the egg. And there is the union of male and female nucleus takes place and a zygote is get formed. Now this newly formed zygote is deployed in the nature. So the zygote, germination of the zygote. This is the zygote, it is diploid because it is formed after fertilization. Now this is about the germination of the zygote. Now zygote first divides transversely into the two unequal cells. Upper cell is small and lower cell is large. Now this lower cell is called as the rhizoidal initial cell. Now upper cell is get developed by division and redivision into a thallus of the sargassum, while this lower cell develops the primary rhizoids. And from this upper cell, the thallus of a sargassum is get developed. Now here the life cycle of the sargassum is get completed. Now the alternation of generation. Alternation of generation. Now in the life cycle of the sargassum, there is no gametophytic generation. There is only one step which is haploid, that are only the gametes. They are haploid. And here in this alternation of generation, as there is no gametophytic generation, so such a type of a generation in which a single stage, that is the gametophyte is haploid, is called as the cytological alternation of generation. Cytological alternation of generation. Last point, that is the economic importance. Number one, sargassum is also economically important. From this alginic acid is get extracted. Alginates are also get synthesized. And this is sargassum, where it is dominant in the ocean water, it is also used as a food and for fodder also. So it is used for food and fodder. Thank you.